Well, I'd just like to thank you guys for joining the show, man. Thanks for ISO for coming back. You as well, Rasan. It's nice to have you guys on here.
Oh, it's a
Glad to
pleasure,
be here.
man.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
So basically, could you give us like a little backstory, Rasan? Kind of give us a backstory about yourself.
Sure. So I'm really an engineer, and 2018, we were called upstairs for a family emergency meeting, and we were told that there's this technology out there that was going to replace the global financial system. It was called Ripple. No one told us to invest in XRP. That's kind of just when we started doing our due diligence. And to speak freely, the money is far more attractive in finance than it is in any other industry. So naturally, I was drawn to it. We started doing research. I literally just quit the engineering thing and put all my time and energy into understanding this. And what I discovered was very interesting. And it's just that the world of finance right now is going through a major transformation with the advent of technology, blockchain technology. And there's certainly a shift right now towards a more decentralized financial system. So I thought, it's time to hop on this thing. The time I heard about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and even though I was told about Ripple, and I started researching it and I couldn't find anything about it. So I was kind of shocked by that. It's like they're talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum and nothing else. So, we started digging deep into this stuff, and we found out within 10 days after research and putting money into Bitcoin and Ethereum that there's not going to be one financial institution later on down the road, once we have regulation and clarity and transparency in what these digital assets are going to look like and how they're going to play their role. We realized real fast that no institution would use Bitcoin. No institution out there would use technologies like Ethereum. These are innovative technologies that paved the way for new technologies, just like Napster. Napster was there, and no one uses Napster anymore for music. There's all kinds of other better innovations. They're faster, cheaper. They download faster. So it's just, this is what we're going through right now. It's the same thing, history repeating itself. And there's a massive opportunity right now and benefits to get yourself invested into these technologies. And I'll throw those coins out there, the ones I'm heavily invested in, which are XRP, XLM, XDC, IOTA, Algorand, Quant, and HBAR. Flare too. Flare has a lot of use cases. So these are technologies that are actually going to benefit the global economy as we transition into some sort of digital realm, and we're tokenizing it. So it's going to have to run on these technologies. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start putting money into this, and the institutions have done it. And I showed you a bunch of files not too long ago with everything.
Yes, sir,
So, yeah, I have that file right here. We have major institutions. We're talking about Bank of America, JP Morgan, the largest institutions on the planet that have put this technology onto their payment rails. So they are going to be used. And what I'm trying to say is basically this is the greatest wealth transfer in human history, as we move all assets from a failing economy, from a failing monetary system, from a failing dollar and a failing reserve currency into something new. So.
Okay. And whenever you were talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum, are you saying they're just going to completely tank to zero, or it's just going to disappear, get regulated out? Like, how do you think that can play a part to all this?
Whether Bitcoin goes to zero or not, I really don't know. It could go zero because, again, it's really the supply and demand for what Bitcoin, that's how it's maintaining its perceived value right now. It's like, who's out there going to buy it for this price and who's going to sell it at that price? So to be honest, Bitcoin and Ethereum are securities. And behind the technology of Bitcoin, it's outdated at this point. I've used Bitcoin to make a transaction before. And if you tried to pay for coffee with Bitcoin, your coffee would be it would be very cold, and it just doesn't work. So if you're trying to scale this monetary system, you're going to need something that's fast, cheap, alignment with the World Economic Forum and their agenda to go green, right? We're not for the World Economic Forum and what they're doing, but their narrative is going green. So you want to be in technologies that are green and that are scalable and that are working with regulators. And this is simple. A lot of people who own these cryptocurrencies, they don't have a clue what's going on. They don't understand anything of it. And there are a lot of technical people, even in the XRP community, that are just really stupid. And that's the truth. They understand the technology maybe, but they're not studying the other side of it. And that's why you'll have XRP people say, I love XRP. But it can't go to $100. It can't go to $20. It might
All
take
right.
2,000. Yeah. I mean, it's like, if they really understood the financial side, the other side of the story, and that's what we're very briefly going to talk about in a bit, they would understand how this technology is going to service the global economy. So you could see XRP being in the center, and then you have your ISO tokens that surround it, and they serve different marketplaces in the economy, right? They're interoperable. So the money at some point is always flowing back and forth. As long as it's going through the XRP ledger, which it is, the technologies are being built around the XRP ledger, then the money will flow through it. And if that's the case, we're talking about all the money in the world eventually, not yet, but later on. So,
and I think it's crazy, just to piggyback off what you said, like, and at the end of the day, there's no real technical limit in regards to XRP price, because there's so many things that can be built on top of it, so many different use cases. You know, I've heard obviously different scenarios in regards to, you know, this lawsuit and everything, how it settles. You know, will the escrow go to the IMF, or, you know, will become a bank because they already have a license over in Wyoming? So, you know, at the end of the day, they could really just do that if they wanted to. But, you know, I think it's going to be kind of interesting, you know, these next couple of weeks, these next couple of months, to see how these things play out. But it is big, and a lot of people limit themselves, and that's what happened with Bitcoin, because people underestimated the value of it, and it went from what, like, you know, a couple cents to, what was it, like 68,000, somewhere around there. And it's like, and that had no use case, okay? And that's crazy. Like, just imagine the utility aspect. And I keep telling people, like, utility at some point is going to drive this price. Right now, it is the speculative market. Bitcoin drives everything. It goes up, cool. Everything goes down, whatever. You know, but at some point, you know, when they start using these actual digital assets that have a use case, solve a real world problem, you know, it's going to be a totally different market. These little pumps and dumps that people see, I don't think will be happening. I think it'll be a lot more stable at some point. Like I said, I don't know when that time frame is going to happen, but I think in the very near future, you know, once we have regs and everything established, like, that's going to be game changing, you know, for the people that plan ahead of the curve. So, you know, that's just my opinion, like I said, but, you know, plan accordingly, essentially. But XRP, XLM, XCC, like you mentioned, like, those are the powerhouses that I'm focusing on myself. I also hypothetically hold Algo, etc., and IOTA. So yeah, you know, they're all going to be interoperable, as you mentioned, and, you know, I think there's going to be more than one winner, as you've mentioned as well. And it's a pretty crazy world we're living in right now. We're starting to see some of these dominoes start to fall, so it's kind of expediting this process. So it's kind of interesting to see, you know, like, you really can kick your feet up right now and enjoy the show at this point if you haven't prepared, or if you haven't prepared. I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right, and I love the way you put it there. I'm very impressed, actually. This is what I'm talking about. So we need more like-minded individuals to come out and speak their voice and explain this stuff, because I don't think people, even in the XRP community, understand the true potential of what's playing out here. But another very important point we should address is the fact that the SEC is really the one thing that's holding this from actually going live, and also from institutions using it. The institutions have already put the payment protocols into place, but they're waiting for some sort of catalyst, or I guess for the SEC to stop. But the SEC's mandate is really to protect investors and to ensure that its securities are operating fairly. But what we're seeing right now, which raises so much concern, is not just SEC's relationship with FTX, their relationship with Celsius, etc. All these are the platforms that have crashed. So, exactly. Right. They're using enforcement powers to manipulate the narrative, and just to confuse people and let people know that there's nothing happening over here, you know, nothing important here. They're in trouble. They messed up. It's not going to go anywhere, but it's really just a show. It's theatrics. And institutions and governments have been doing this for a very long time. They find a technology that's innovative, and it's going to change and revolutionize the global financial system, like Netflix, like Netflix taking out Blockbusters, Uber, Amazon. They all got sued, Apple, Google, because you see, they were having transformative industries. So they sue them. They drag it on. They position themselves accordingly amongst themselves too, greedy sons of bitches, all of them. And what they do is, yes, then they come out to the public and say, you know what, this thing is happening. We're going to have to adopt it and control it. So the same thing is playing out here. So yeah, we're very early, you know, but I think we're getting closer.
And I think it's just to piggyback off what you said, you know, a lot of those companies were sued by the SEC. So, you know, people are thinking, oh, the SEC, you know, they have a really strong case against Ripple. Oh, Ripple's a security. Oh, Ripple's a fraud. Oh, Ripple's a scam. As soon as they see that, a lot of people ended up dropping their bags. I know people personally that did that specifically,
Mhm.
but it's like you have to really understand, the technology and everything that's happening. I think this is kind of like a pay to play type thing, because a lot of these banks and stuff are not going to want to lose the power that they currently have. Fractional reserve banking, like, I mean, technically if you want to look at it this way, it's pretty much a fraud, in my opinion, like I said. So, they basically lend out your money that they don't have. And next thing you know, you have a situation like this and boom, then you're screwed. So,
Right.
I think Ripple is, and there's a lot of other companies, not just them, they're trying to supplant themselves in a way so that way we can recover from some of these, extreme swings when it comes to crashes, things of that sort. And you can recover a lot quicker once you have this technology and everything implemented and in place. Obviously, I think this is a delay tactic. I do think that they tried building their own technology and potentially maybe, it didn't quite work out. It is what it is. But, at the end of the day, they have something that's game changing, it's cheap, fast, scalable, something that's global. And I think a lot of people miss this fact that this is a global effort. This is not just the United States. There's just one pawn in this whole giant story. Okay.
Yes.
And it's like people are too nearsighted, and they don't see the big picture in regards to things. Like you have to look at some of these partnerships like BRICS, things of that sort. Like there's a lot of different things in play right now that are basically shifting the way people change or the way they do finance, the way people think, etc. And it's like people are missing it because it's like they're focusing on this over here, and then you got this whole brand new system being built, rails and everything behind the scenes, and it's crazy. Like people are still missing it. It can be like literally right in their face, and they still miss it. So it's just mind blowing at this point. Like I said, and I'm shout out to you because you've been bringing this to the people for quite some time. I love your channel, like I said, and
Thanks,
it's been opening some eyes in regards to so many things going on around the world. So kudos to you in regards to that.
Oh, thank you. And, also kudos to you guys for your research and the fact, again, that you're putting this out there. It's so important there. People need to understand what's playing out, but this is where it gets interesting too. The reason they're delaying this is because the United States is still the reserve currency of the world. This is disrupting and eradicating intermediaries, which are the big institutions and the banks. However, we still see that they have positioned themselves with the protocols as well, which is very interesting. Then we have to look at what the Federal Reserve is doing. And you talked about fractional reserve banking. Very good point, because the whole thing, the entire global financial system based on the dollar is a Ponzi scheme. It really is. And it was a Ponzi scheme the minute Nixon took the gold off the dollar, because gold is what keeps governments to have that monetary discipline, so they don't just excessively print. So what they did is they took off the gold standard, they gave complete control to the central banks and allowed them to print so much money, which devalued our currency. They took us to war, and this is what they continue to do. But right now, the Federal Reserve right now is actively involved in dethroning the dollar right now, because they are looking for an exit strategy out of fiat currency themselves too. And that's exactly why very discreetly they are funneling billions of dollars into blockchain technology, into XRP, into these. And what people still don't understand is that the destruction of currency happens through debt. And as inflation continues to rise because of that debt, it's going to have a restraint on liquidity, meaning there's less confidence in the dollar because of higher inflation then. So the demand naturally for technologies like XRP and XLM will continue to accelerate on a global scale. It all ties in,
Exactly. Okay, I have a question about the debt. So do you think they're going to wait until things get bad and the debt just goes through the ceiling when we can't do anything anymore, and then they implement these technologies? Or do you think they'll just kind of throw it onto the ledger before everything goes bad? Like, will they let things get bad, or will they just kind of like ease
That's
it?
a very, very important question. To be honest, we really don't know. And this is why we have to be careful and have to position ourselves. And this is why we have to research this stuff, because there's so many scenarios how this could play out. But real quick, before we address that question, this is why, as we transition into this and all this stuff, inflation is killing people. It really is. They're not covering it on the news. They're talking about all these other things that are sidetracking people from the real problems at hand. Inflation is really high. It's wiping out an entire class of people, the middle class. This is why, this is why we all need to invest in precious metals. This is why we need to diversify our portfolio with digital assets. This is why we need to consider purchasing real estate, if, of course, if you have the money as a hedge against inflation. We have to also keep emergency funds of cash on the side for 3 to 6 months. And we have to stay informed about the economic and geopolitical events that may impact these markets. So I think they're going to continue to allow the debt to go up because, again, that's where they get their control from. And it's very possible that what we saw, I don't know if you guys saw what happened with Blackstone the other day. Now, Blackstone, maybe it was poorly reported how this came out, but there was a subsidiary of Blackstone that actually defaulted on a $526 million debt.
Yes, I remember reading that. You posted that on
That's
Twitter.
a lot. I actually didn't hear about
Yes.
that.
Money.
Yeah. And that's just, now that's a lot of money for us, but for institutions, to be honest, that's not a lot of money
Probably
for
not much.
institutions.
Right.
However, this is what's going to be interesting, that this is just the tip of an iceberg. It will set off chain reaction because others will follow too. So there are several other factors that are contributing to this impending crisis that we're talking about here. It's including the fact that margin calls haven't came yet into effect. Now think about this. Margin calls is basically when you borrow, you basically take leverage that and promise to pay it back with a higher rate based on the fact that you're going to turn a profit around. So you have a deadline. A lot of the people with their margin calls for FTX, and I know FTX was what, November? It crashed?
Yeah, it was quite recent. Yes.
Those margin calls are not even due until June and July of this year. And that money was stolen. So how are they going to pay it back? How many people lost money? 32 billion, I think. And that's just one. Wait until those margin calls come into effect and they will reflect on the global economy. That's going to result in a restraint of liquidity. So the banks are going to say, you know what? We're not going to give out any more credit lines to people. And debt is what keeps the debt is the engine. Since we took the gold standard off, the debt. You have to get more debt to pay that back with interest. It creates jobs by getting in debt. So they're going to have to restrain that. And that could be also a catalyst, which would utilize the institutions to utilize this technology that they've been waiting so long to use. It's just, and then at the same time, we see the SEC now being put into question about what are they doing there? You know, there's so much, Congress is actually talking about investigating the SEC.
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah. It's about damn time. And this is what I've been saying, you know. Yeah, we've been complaining about this for so long, but you know, I think things are now starting to move forward. And I mean, you know, I've been told that things are going to happen on March the 20th. That's what I was told by my contact, Linda P. Jones, and a few others. So if that's really the case, something's going to happen on the 20th. I wouldn't be surprised because we just got warning that the stock market might crash in 58 days from now. We also got warning that many institutions are defaulting. We also saw what happened with the banks yesterday. They lost $52 billion. And we're talking about JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and another. So this is all playing into everything we're covering here. It's happening faster. It's becoming more rapid. So it's very possible that they might just flip the switch. Price would go up very fast. Absolutely.
Like, just to piggyback. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see why it would go. Someone told me once that when the price of XRP, the lawsuit is over, it's going to just go up and come back down because people will sell. I get that. Yeah. However, XRP does have a burn rate too. So it's burning. I know it's burning very slowly.
Every transaction. Yeah.
Right. But if it's burning the transactions, why the hell would it go back down? It should just keep going up. You know, it wouldn't make sense. But I personally think that it's just going to shoot up. And this is what we've been told before. This is what we've heard before. I think we're now speculating based on heavy data and heavy research how this might actually play out. But I think it will be instant. I really believe that. Instant wealth. Because when they flip the switch on, okay, they have the payment protocols in place with the largest institutions. So if they flip the switch, that's it. All the assets now move on that platform. So there's now utility. If that's the case, and business isn't going to stop. It's going to keep going. So what? Yeah, they would. Why wouldn't it go up? Easy $100 real fast. And as the demand keeps going because institutions are using it, they start to follow. Everyone hops on board, and that's it.
Yeah, and all it takes is really two banks. I mean, at the end of the day, if two banks are using the technology, it's working, it's cheap, you know, fast, scalable. You know, your money actually gets from point A to point B without correspondent banking, or 6% error rate with Swift. Like, you know, people are going to want to start using that tech. So whether or not they're ready now, you know, obviously we can speculate in regards to that. But, you know, I think a lot of the big players probably are ready. But like I said, like you mentioned already, there's probably going to be some kind of catalyst, some kind of black swan event, something that happens. And like right now, debt, like they are literally like taking advantage of this debt thing. I know they were printing money into infinity for the last, 2 years or so. Like, you know, we live in a debt-based society. I think at some point, you know, we will switch over to an asset-backed society. Obviously, you mentioned precious metals, things of that sort too. So, you know, it's crazy times to see like these things happen too. And it's definitely a huge opportunity for people that do take advantage or are paying attention because, you know, this is a brand new asset class. There hasn't been a brand new asset class for, is it hundreds of years, if I'm not mistaken? It's been quite some time, quite a few decades. So, you know, for them to have, you know, the crypto asset space, you know, I think at some point the cream of the crop will rise to the top. Obviously, maybe that's when regulations and everything happen. Who knows? But, you know, some of these pump and dumps, you know, there's what, 22,000 cryptocurrencies. I doubt there's 22,000 use cases. You know, they're probably going to fall by the wayside. I mean, they're probably going to fall by the wayside. You're going to have a select few. I'm not saying just XRP, but XRP, I think, is going to be a heavy hitter. Just my opinion, like I said. So, you know, XRP, XLM, XDC, even some that aren't ISO 20022, like VeChain, like it solves a real problem. And I think that they are going to rise to the top. Like I said, I don't know time frame in regards to this, but you know, we are seeing some of these events and everything play out, and it seems to be speeding up, in my opinion. You know, you got these train derailments, you know, distracting everybody over here. You got this balloon going on over here, shooting it down, like, and nobody's paying attention to like the financial system, like. And credit card debt, as you mentioned, like in regards to debt, like credit card debt is like super high right now in regards to like middle class, low class, whatever, like ridiculous numbers right now. So people are like basically spending money they don't have. Like at some point, this has got to give at some point. So when that happens, you know, like I said, we can just speculate, but I think it's coming sooner rather than later. And I personally don't think it's 2025. They say by 2025 for these banks and financial institutions. That's by, meaning keyword by, not in 2025. So who knows? We shall see. Like, I just keep stacking, keep preparing, keep planning ahead. You know, like you said, make sure you keep some cash, make sure you stay liquid. I think you'll be fine. Just got to write it out. Things will probably get worse before they get better, but you know, you do what you got to do.
The thing is, yeah, as inflation keeps going higher, there will be a higher demand for these cheap technologies to be used by individuals too. Why would you want to hold dollars if it's you can't get a loaf of bread, you know, anymore? So yeah, the more debt, the higher the inflation is too. Because of how everything is all tied in together. Like you said, Ponzi scheme, but they are racing right now, I think, to the bottom to usher in this new system. And that's why they're printing so much more money. You know, that's why they decide to print more money. It's because they want to race it into the ground so that way they can wipe out the middle class and bring in the new financial system. You know, so the wheels of justice, they grind very slowly. And that's what we've been waiting for. But when you least expect it, the institutional transition will happen very rapidly. And I still believe that.
Okay, I also have a question also. So why is America stalling, like the SEC, why are they stalling this case with Ripple regarding XRP if they're deliberately trying to crash the system when they know that this benefits them? Like, that makes no sense.
I think it's because of the gold. And that's why China, this is why it gets so interesting. We have to look into China. Is China, they were holding, they were buying gold for so long, but so much gold. They're buying more gold than any other nation in the world. And they put laws into place that once gold gets into China, it can never leave. You can't even take it through the airport back out. So your gold gets stuck there. If I go to China, I'm not taking my ring with me, you know, because I won't be able to come out through an airport. So they do it like that. And I think the reason why is because the one who has the most gold has the biggest say at the table, you know, the big boy table. And that's why we see India buying gold now, Pakistan. Everyone wants a seat at the table this time. Because in the first Bretton Woods agreement, the second Bretton Woods agreement is when they made the dollar after World War II. They knew what they were doing, but they did not allow other nations to participate. That's why the dollar became the reserve currency. Now everybody wants to participate because this is Bretton Woods 3.0 with Web 3.0 too. Everyone wants to have a say at it. And I think the rest of the world is so disgusted and sick of the United States. And
they are.
Sorry to say that.
They hate us.
And to be honest, you know, I'm Arab too. I'm Arab, and I'm not saying I hate America. I don't, but I'm very disgusted and disturbed by the culture here, the people, and the fact that no one's raising their voices. I mean, if this happened in my country, in Saudi Arabia, people would revolt very fast. They would not tolerate it. But in the US, yeah, people just, you know, they take it in from the back.
It's like they like it.
Accept it. Yeah, and it's very sad because this is ultimately going to enslave them into a new financial system. And that's why central bank digital currencies are important. We'll talk about it in a second. But again, buying the one who has the most gold has the biggest seat at the table. So I think they're delaying this because America does not want to lose its reserve status as a currency. And that means we might even go to war because of that. And this has happened in the past. That's why they went and killed Gaddafi. That's why they went and killed Saddam Hussein. And they infiltrated those countries with the CIA, and they used the military industrial complex to push their way. They didn't want to trade in dollars. They said this is worthless. You're devaluing the currency because you guys keep printing so much so you can get deeper into debt and build a stronger military, while we're suffering the consequences because the dollar has a ripple effect. Anything that touches the dollar ripples throughout the world. So you could be in Pakistan and still be affected by the dollar, or in France. My friends in Germany are struggling right now because our dollar keeps raising interest rates. It gets stronger here, it gets weaker outside. So I think they're trying to control the narrative, and I don't think they're going to win. But I think the U.S. is in very big trouble. And whether they're doing this intentionally, which I believe they are, to enslave people with a central bank digital currency, or if they're just really trying to make sure that they're in control of this. But again, Ripple Labs is a United States company. So that's very interesting. So America does have the strongest military on the planet still.
Oh, I did not know that.
We still have the strongest military. We do.
Yeah. And if the U.S. is smart, they will keep that Ripple technology in the United States. Because I know they've mentioned already, going abroad if everything goes south. I mean, right now, obviously, 95% of their business is outside the United States. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, the majority of their money is outside. So whatever, at the end of the day. But, I think the USA is kind of shooting themselves in the foot with this lawsuit. Obviously, we see ETHgate and everything come into the scene as well. Like, we see a lot of corruption. And I think it's kind of opening eyes because at the beginning, you didn't really have too many people supporting Ripple in regards to this, just being honest. But now there's a lot of companies that are saying, like, hey, like the SEC, like they really overstepping their bounds right now. And, you have these amicus briefs, things of that sort, they're jumping in, also being a part of the lawsuit. And it's pretty interesting to see. But you mentioned BRICS too. BRICS is who to watch out for, because I think BRICS is going to probably expedite this process in regards to this fourth industrial revolution. Like, you got different nations trying to join. You got Algeria, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. We used to only do transactions in a dollar, like obviously way back. And now they're actually open to other nations' currencies. So it's like, obviously that's going to affect the United States at some point, because, if they're not using the United States dollar, which is pretty much predominant right now in the world, everybody's moving away from us because they don't really like what we're doing with the money. Like, we're literally just printing it into oblivion, devaluing it. And I keep telling people the money just sitting in your bank account too, like it's losing value daily at the end of the day. It is what it is. Obviously there's other factors that go into that too, but you get the general gist. And, they're working on a brand new system away from SWIFT. Like, we put all these sanctions and everything on Russia in regards to what they do, who they can transact with, et cetera. And they just got tired of it. And I get it. I'm from the United States. I get it. I would be pissed too, just being honest. Like, you're doing whatever you want to do. And it's like, you're the world reserve currency. Like, this should be something that should be, at the end of the day, be strong, stable, et cetera. And you're just like abusing the power. And it's like, at some point, they're going to get tired of it. So I get it. And they've gotten to that point at the end of the day. And, a lot of other nations, they're like, you know what? I see them doing this. I might have to join them because, they also don't like the dollar. We can find other ways to transact money. And it's, it's pretty crazy, like seeing everything happen in like real time. Like, literally every other day, like a brand new nation is trying to join BRICS. I'm like, wow, sure. It's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. De-dollarization is the big move now. Nations around the world are tired of the US influence. They're tired of being squeezed with inflation because of a very strong dollar. So yeah, it makes sense. Why wouldn't you? I've been de-dollarizing for a very long time. I'm almost out of dollars, to be honest. And, I live in the US, but yeah, I just continue every time money comes in. I take it, I invest into silver and gold and physical assets, and the rest a little bit in cash. And if I need to make payments, I put it back in the bank just to make that payment. That's it. I don't leave any money in the banks. I don't trust the institutions here. I don't trust the United States government. I don't trust the Federal Reserve. They're going to screw the middle people like they've always done. And this time it's going to be different. They're going to create a level playing field. And it's not just the technology that's making the level playing field, but it's also leveling the playing field for us. They're going to wipe out the middle class and make everyone either rich or poor. And in the middle, you're going to have artificial intelligence.
Have-yots and have-nots. That's what I like to say in my videos. Yep, exactly. And some people are paying attention. It is what it is. You try to tell them, you try to inform them, encourage them to do their own research. Nobody wants to research it. You see a 100-page document. The typical person is not going to want to read through that. And it's, it's to better your future, but nobody wants to put forth that time, and everybody feels entitled, like, oh, I should have been wealthy, I should have been rich. And there's literally a huge opportunity right now. Like, this huge transition is going to create a lot of millionaires and potentially billionaires, maybe trillionaires, I don't know, depending wherever price and everything goes. So it's like, you had an opportunity. Like, what are you going to be telling your grandkids? Like, oh, you just sat on the sidelines when all this happened? Like, I refuse to let that happen. I've seen the dot-com boom. I've seen all these tech stocks and everything go up. People sold. At the end of the day, some of them, if they held, just a little bit longer, you know, they'd be pretty wealthy today. You know, that's Tesla, Google, Microsoft, like it's crazy. And everything goes through its cycle too. At some point, I think with this, you know, XRP specifically, XLM, XDC, you know, we're going to reach a turning point where institutional use just starts ramping up, and it's going to happen quick. And a lot of people are going to try to jump in, and they're going to be left by the wayside, you know, at the end of the day. So it doesn't take many banks, you know, jumping on board. Like at the end of the day, right now, it's pretty much retail based. I won't say solely, but, you know, obviously you have ODL partners, things of that sort. But Ripple is buying off of the open market right now. This should be telling people something, okay? They've already limited access to XRP, specifically in the United States. You know, Coinbase and other exchanges have delisted it. So that's a bottlenecking effect. You have limited access to this asset. And I think at some point, like I said, there's going to be a turning point, and a lot of people are going to try to jump in. And, you know, I don't think it gets relisted in my opinion, but, you know, we can talk about that if y'all want to. But, you know, they're going to try to jump in and they're going to miss the boat. You know, like people, they're not paying attention. Like you got to look at all the different dots and everything that are happening in the world and connect them. You know, they're not always going to say, oh, we're using XRP for this. Oh, we're using XLM for this. Oh, we're using XDC for this. You know, you have to kind of decipher and interpret some of these documents too. And a lot of people, it's not for them. So, you know, it is what it is, I guess.
I have a question for you, ISO, to go back on what you said. So you said XRP probably won't be relisted. So do you think other countries might just follow suit and just be like, we're going to go ahead and just take off XRP, maybe even XLM and XDC? Do you see that happening, or just like XRP specifically?
So that I'm not sure about. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, if they still have it on the exchange, I don't see why they wouldn't just keep it on there. Obviously, people will pay a premium for it. People pay a premium for Bitcoin. So, you know, it's just the same thing. But I think XRP is a lot bigger than people are thinking. And, you know, that's probably why they removed it from exchanges. I personally don't think the United States wants some people to get wealthy in regards to this transition, or at least the ones that are paying attention. That's why they removed it from United States exchanges. But, you know, like I said, that's just speculation. You know, I don't have any grounds on that. But I don't think it gets relisted. It could be. Who knows? Like I said, it will probably be at a premium. They do the same thing for Bitcoin. I mean, people still pay for like 0.007 of a Bitcoin. So, you know, who knows? But I don't think it's for retail. I think it's more so for institutional use. We're more so like, I guess, the guinea pigs, however you want to look at it, to see if this technology could get adopted. And, you know, it's grown over the years, obviously. And, you know, eventually at some point it'll be here, you know, and they'll be out there in the open. You know, the masses will be using it. You already seeing it in commercials. You already see it in advertising in New York and England, you know, some subways. Like Ripple is global too, specifically. So it's like, you know, they're putting it out there in the open. It's just a lot of people don't have the eyes to see or the ears to hear. So it just kind of like goes under the rug. But I do think once mass adoption happens, it's a potential. I mean, it could be realistic. I don't think so, but that's just my opinion.
Interesting. I like that. I like the way you put it.
They might actually just make it to where you have to be an accredited investor.
Yep.
And if that's the case, then you won't be able to get in unless you have some sort of contacts and the money.
Exactly.
Will we have to take a test to become an accredited investor, or just because we have a certain amount of money, we'll be
Series 65,
godfathered
in? Accredited investors?
Like, do you think they'll just let us in? Like, let's say we reach a certain net worth that we're able to become one, or will we have to take tests also?
Oh, you grandfathered in, I think.
Well, that's why we don't know yet. That's why we need a regulatory framework for all this stuff. You know, the SEC is really they're the regulatory enforcement. It's very possible that they actually get called into Congress. They drag this on. They realize that they have no place where we're going. And to be honest, the SEC is outdated. They don't have the technology and the means to regulate the space, but the CFTC does, and the central Commodities Futures Trading Exchange. They already position themselves to regulate these assets. In fact, they're working very closely with Stellar Foundation right now, XLM, and they were at the World Economic Forum, and they're perfectly positioned to do this. So if it comes to that, it would be perfect for the SEC to recuse itself. And if they recuse themselves, then the CFTC can step in, and this could be regulated very fairly.
Drop of a hat. Yep.
So we were talking about.
Let me see. I have it recorded. Let me check real quick.
I can't remember either.
We got disconnected very briefly. It's okay.
Right in the middle of the.
You know what? I actually would like to talk about something. There are a lot of people out there who they don't know what to do, right? And they're scared. They're watching. Some people are watching this, but don't know how to position themselves.
Right.
Now, I understand owning gold for people out there, they have to understand that it's not really to buy gold and flip it to get rich. That's not what it was designed for. Gold was designed for you to preserve your wealth.
Yep.
So if I had $50,000, I don't want it sitting under a mattress when it loses value.
Right.
I'd rather buy gold because as currency loses value, precious metals go up.
Yep.
It would make sense. So, and gold is expensive. A lot of people can't afford gold. I get that. But that's why there's other things like silver, which is essential to the new financial system, including because these are universally recognized as value and a store of wealth.
Yep.
So as we transition, and we don't know what the regulations are, we have to position ourselves accordingly just to be safe, because they are certainly going to wipe out your currency and devalue it to nothing. And we're already seeing this. I don't think people are talking enough about the inflation and raising interest rates. When you hear the Fed talk about raising interest rates, that is 100% bullshit. Raising interest rates is not going to fix inflation. They're saying that because they know the masses are watching CNN and they're looking, oh, look, they're raising interest rates. They're trying to fix inflation. But that's not the truth at all. Raising interest rates means more unemployment, means more less spending, less circulating money in the economy, because people need to borrow money with higher interest rates. They're not going to borrow money. So even institutions and big businesses are going to say, you know what, if I can't borrow money and I need money, I need debt to keep my people employed. I have 7,000 people working for me. I need debt to keep them employed. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to fire them all. I don't have to worry about that. I can't borrow money because interest rates are too damn high. What I'm going to do is hire artificial intelligence. And this is why we see right now the artificial intelligence coming at the same time, the forefront of everything. You think ChatGPT is powerful now? Give it about 2 years. Wait and see what that thing can do. It's going to be a beast. It's going to be a beast, and it's going to wipe out the entire. It's going to wipe out the job market, man, entirely. So people need to learn how to use this, all of this, to benefit them, and there are ways to do this.
Right.
So. AI, I use it to further my career. I use it to help me with SEO, search engine optimization, to increase my viewers and stuff like that. I use it to benefit my business. I don't let it use me for meaningless things. But, you have to use these things to benefit yourself. And precious metals, again, you need to own that. You don't want your dollar going down. And cryptos is the new thing. Institutions will be going to it, and they will be using it for the new financial system. So, yeah.
No argument there.
So all tied in together,
Oh yeah, it's like a web. Yeah,
right.
So you definitely see artificial intelligence playing a big role in the future, along with cryptocurrency as well.
Well, not with crypto. I think
alongside, I guess you could say.
Yeah. You'll see. So 2023, and I promise you guys, this is going to happen here. 2023, you're going to see higher inflation. You're going to see way more layoffs. You're going to see massive de-dollarization. So countries leaving the dollar, which will create even higher inflation. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see the rise of artificial intelligence and the mainstream adoption. That means on CNN, Fox, you'll see it mainstream eventually of blockchain technology, crypto, some of these cryptos, not all of them. So it's going to be a very interesting year. And I think it's going to get very, very tough too for some people. And this is why we do what we do here. And, kudos to you guys, man, sharing this out there and getting it out to the people, because this is an opportunity for people to position themselves before this crisis hits.
So. And it's coming, man. Whether people want to admit it or not, whether they believe or not, it's going to be a rude awakening for them, man.
Yes.
Either take advantage or get run over by it. That's what I tell people in my videos. Like, you just have to do 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes of research. Like, just do a little digging. Like, you have to be able to see like some of these bigger things that are happening at play too. And the news is not going to tell you everything. They will tell you, whatever story they want you to hear. They will feed it to you. A lot of people take it and run with it, and it's like they don't want to do the due diligence for themselves, and that's detrimental. That's why there's a 99%, and that's why there's a 1%.
Yeah.
Some people take advantage of these opportunities because
I'll give you an example.
Again. I doubt something like this happens again.
Yeah, it's not going to happen again, because this is the last great wealth transfer. And I'm not kidding about that. It's not going to happen again. They're going to eliminate the middle class, keep your poor, artificial intelligence in the middle, and then you have your rich. And I've been told that by people way up the food chain too. But I'll give you an example. Everyone's at the rodeo right now. I've been watching people go back and forth with boots all day. Yeah. And here you and I are, and we're here discussing things that are of great importance to all of us that can actually save us from financial obliteration. So we're taking the time to do the things that are necessary to take care of ourselves and hopefully get people to become aware wake up and become aware of all of this. So it's all about perspective. What do you value the most? I don't spend time on my phone. I don't go to parties and clubs like I used to. I went past that a long time ago. I really just care about my future and my family because of the way things are going. It doesn't look good. So we're taking action, all of us.
Yes, man. Yes, man. And I really feel like as you said, when people are going out the rodeo, just spending unnecessary money that they don't have, they could easily just go invest that money that they use and change their lives in the future. If they would just sacrifice just one thing, they could just sacrifice one thing and change their family for generations to come. But
luckily, I'm single and I don't have to pay dinner every night. So all that money is going into investments. But believe me, once these take off, I will not be single anymore, and I will be able to have as many people as I want in my life. I'm just kidding, guys. No.
Kudos to both of you gentlemen for putting this together. This is definitely great time to bounce around different ideas, thoughts. It's definitely a pleasure speaking with you, Prasan, too. Like I said,
pleasure, Robert. Man, you're very intelligent. You're very intelligent. I think what you're doing is great, and you seem very well versed in this. So massive support and shout out to you, man. And you have a YouTube channel?
I do. The ISOGoat. I do. Definitely check
me out. That's you? You're the ISOGoat?
Yeah, this is him. This is the guy I was talking about, man.
Oh, God. Okay. Awesome, man. I've seen your stuff before, very, very briefly, to be honest. I've seen also I've seen your comments too, and I didn't know that was you, man. I'm sorry. So
yeah, no, you're good.
Anyways, yeah, I'll be sure to subscribe to your channel, man. And we'll do this again in the near future. And so many developments are happening right now, so I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about. I think right now what we did is first time we broke the ice and we covered everything a bit. I think next time we'll be more specific about how things are playing out. That way we can address the real issues.
Oh yeah, that sounds like fun. I can't wait for I
look forward to it.
I can do this, man. I actually enjoy this. This is actually good. Might become serious. You never know, man.
Yeah.
But I appreciate both of you guys for coming on the show, brother. And I can't wait to work with you guys again, man. I hope you guys stay safe and have a wonderful weekend, man.
You too, guys.
You too. Be safe.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. You too, brother. Y'all be good.
All righty.
All right. Later.